Hey guys, some months ago the people over at First Four Figures contacted me about their new pixel art collectibles called Figgies. They sent me out some samples of the Suikoden range ahead of their release and they look amazing. So this first wave of Suikoden Figgies has a theme of friendship. It includes Tyr and Ryu along with their best friends Ted and Joey. And I just want to say they look so much cooler in person than they did in the pictures I saw months ago. So each Figgy does come with a plastic protector included for free, so for people like myself who generally like to keep everything displayed in their boxes, this does help keep everything clean and dust free. So let's take it out of its protector. I probably should have opened that from the top, not the bottom, but hey, what's done is done. Now, doesn't he look amazing? Doesn't that look beautiful? The pixel art on this figure is absolutely gorgeous. And you can see here at the top right of the box, it's a first edition figure. I believe these first editions are limited to 1,000 of each character. And they're only $14.99 each, by the way, which is quite affordable. And you can save 5% off every order by using the code Colgan. Now, each side of the box will pretty much show the same information. You have which number Figgy he is. You have a picture of the Figgy with the background. You have the character's name. It shows you all of the characters that are in this wave. On the other side, it shows more or less the same information, the number, the character, the other side of the background, all of the characters that are in the wave. And on the back, it shows a little description of the character, the contents that are included. You have the character, the background, a stand, a magnetic sticker, which characters are in the wave, and some information about the app. Now, why don't we open him up and give you a look at what's inside? And I am internally screaming right now at the fact of opening this up. I am very much the type of person that likes to leave everything displayed in their boxes. So opening this up, it's eating me alive. So we have them opened. I just say the box, by the way, I love the color scheme on the box. Orange is my favorite color, so I'm very happy with the color scheme on the box. So this is what he looks like on the inside. Absolutely beautiful. It really does capture the feel of the games. So why don't we pop him out there? Give you a closer look at Tyr McDull. And then on the back we have two magnets. You attach the character to the metallic background with these magnets. And because the magnets they're quite chunky, they have a nice chunky size to them, that raises the character off of the background, and it does give the character a sort of a 3D pop-out feeling. In here then we have a stand. So you would display so first of all it says Figgies on the stand. You probably can't see with the lighting. And in here you would put your stand. So I will move the box aside for the moment. Let's pop all of this out and show you. So this is the stand. It is the McDull Mansion. It's using the artwork from the HD remaster. Now these backgrounds are reversible. On the other side we have a map of Torin. So you have one side that's related to the character while the other side is related to the franchise as a whole. Now we can pop that in the stand like I said, and then we would attach the character to the background like so, and it does create, as I said, that 3D pop-out feeling. Now inside each box there is also a magnetic sticker. So if you don't have the room to display it on your desk or your shelf like this, you can take it out of the stand you can attach the magnet to the background. Then you would peel this off, and then you could display it vertically on whatever surface you want, like a mirror, your refrigerator, your office cubicle, your wall, whatever that may be. And then inside, we also have this little envelope. There's a scratch card inside this with a code on it. You can redeem that for points on the Figgies app, which you can download on iOS or Android. You'll then be able to exchange those points for rewards. I don't know what those rewards will be, but I believe, well, I don't know for sure what they'll be, but I believe they'll be things like discount vouchers for money off future orders, things like that. And there is also, probably won't show the code here, but there is a QR code on the back of each Figgy between the two magnets. And if you scan that into the Figgies app, you'll also get some additional points. And as I said, you can trade them in for future rewards. Now, inside this envelope, by the way, there's also a chance that you'll find one of the hidden chase backgrounds. You might get lucky and find a special rare gold, silver, or bronze background specific to that game. Now, they're different depending on the game. It might just be a plain gold background with pictures of the character's face, things like that. Now, these chase backgrounds are included randomly with each Figgy. Gold has a 1% chance, silver is 3%, and bronze is 6%. Now, you should be able to tell immediately whether or not you got one by the feel of the envelope, as the backdrops are metal and these scratch cards are just a bit of paper. So you can tell immediately whether you get one by the weight of it, as the metal backdrops do have a nice bit of weight to them. So I suspect that when these start getting sold in stores, you might have some cheeky people showing up with little weighing scales and weighing all of the figures to check if there's a metal backdrop in one of them. Now, I have opened the other three Figgies. Unfortunately, I didn't get any chase backgrounds to show you what they are, but what I'm going to show you here is that they put some nice effort, some nice thought into the boxes for display purposes. You can see lined up here 64, 65, 66, 67, and then on the other side 64, 65, 66, 67. So they put some nice thought into it, so you could display them front facing, you could go left to right, right to left. And on the back of these boxes, you will also see the same information as you did with Tier. It shows the character and a description, all of the contents. Then we have Ryu, again he has his own description, and Joey has his own description. I'm going to put the boxes aside, and I'm going to bring the characters over one by one. So this is Ted. Ted's background, as you can see, is his grandfather's his grandfather's hut from the village of the Hidden Ruin. And here is Ted himself. And on the back of Ted's one, there is also a map of Torin. So he looks wonderful. Next up, we have Ryu. So Ryu, his background is Genkaku's dojo, his grandfather's dojo. Again, I'll give you a better look at Ryu there. He looks gorgeous. And the background for him is actually a map of Dunan. So the maps for Tyr and Ted are Torin. The maps for Ryu and Joey are Dunan. So it's a nice little attention to detail there. Joey's background is the Atreides mansion. Again, we have the map of Dunan on the back. I'm going to attach him there. Now, you may notice Tyr, Ted, and Ryu are all facing one direction, while Joey is facing in the opposite direction. So The good guys, if you will be facing that direction, while their rivals, the bad guys, will be facing in this direction. So you'll have them facing each other like they're clashing. Now, I do love that they went with pixel art for these, because it really does capture the magic and feel of the games, and seeing the characters on these iconic backdrops, it does bring the memories, the nostalgic memories of playing the games rushing back to me, which I think is the vibe they were going for when they made these. And it's not just Suikoden that they have, by the way. They have these characters in all of your favorite franchises. They have them in games like Sonic the Hedgehog, Persona, Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania, Metaphor ReFantazio. They've got Shin Megami Tensei, and they've even got anime like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Frieren. And they've got new Figgies from new franchises releasing weekly. And a fun thing about these is that they are modular, so you don't have to keep them on their own background. So I'm going to put Tyr on Ted's background. And now you're going to be thinking of the time when Tyr went back in time, when he was sent back in time by the Celestial Sword to the village of the Hidden Ruin. And Ryu, I'm going to take him off of Genkaku's dojo, and I'm going to put him in front of the MacDull mansion. And now you're thinking of the time when you had to travel back to Gregminster to forge an alliance with the Tauren Republic. So I think these are absolutely beautiful. I think they're gorgeous, and they're going to look incredible on my shelf next to all of my Suikoden games, some of which you can see behind me. I tried to line them up to be themed with the Figgies themselves. Now, fingers crossed that these sell well, because I think they're really cool, and I really want a wave 2, a wave 3, a wave 4, and beyond. And you never know who will show up in a future wave. You know, they might give us a Liberation Army wave with Odessa, Flick, Victor, and Humphrey. And their backgrounds could be, I don't know, they wouldn't have to be necessarily 4 individual backgrounds. They could give us one large background that all connects together if you place the 4 of them like this. So imagine the Liberation Army set with Odessa, Flick, Victor, and Humphrey, and their backgrounds are the sewers in Lenin Camp, where they're all standing around their table having a meeting, and you could create just one big individual scene like that. Or maybe we'll get some kind of Guardians wave with Gremio, Pan, Cleo, and Nanami. Or we might even get a Squirrel Squad, which would be absolutely adorable. Could you imagine having the 5 squirrels lined up, flying Luca Blight off into the distance? I'd love to see the squirrels. You know, there's so many possibilities they could do. Some waves get released in sets of 3, some get released in sets of 4, and some get released in sets of 5. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a wave of 4, it could be a wave of 5. We might get like I said, the squirrels. Maybe we'll get the 5 great Imperial Generals, Tio, Sonya, Chasm, Kwanda, and Milik, which would be a cool wave. Now, there's a lot they could do. So I really do hope these sell well. And like I said earlier, these first print editions are limited to 1,000 for each character. And it's not just Suikoden that they have a whole range of other series too. So head on over to Figgies.com or click the link in the description and use the code Colgan to get 5% off your orders.